A while back I wrote about catching my wife in an affair with her boss. Let's call him Benny and her Chrissy. I've had a crazy amount of DMs asking me if I was alright and asking for updates, so I'm going to drop this last post before deleting the account. If you want the background, you can check my post history. I'm not going to rehash it all again. Also understand that this is not a complete history. It's been a long 8 months. Very shortly after I moved out, I had a friend tell me that Chrissy went out to dinner with his wife and the wife of another friend of mine, who were her friends. He said that she got drunk, told them what happened, and then when they weren't sympathetic invited Benny out with them. Said that it was a whole scene and she was all over him. She later admitted that she went and spent that night at his house, but swore up and down that they didn't sleep together and spent the night on his couch. Swore that she just felt alone and like none of her friends cared about her and didn't want to be alone at the Airbnb. At the time we were switching off staying at the marital home when it was our days with our son, and the other would fuck off to an Airbnb. We went to see a therapist at that time. Therapy went the way of straight trickle truthing. She would wait to see what I knew, cop to only that, and swear there was nothing else. She swore that the time that I caught her, which she spent an entire weekend with him in an Airbnb, was the first and only time. She cried and begged for me to believe her and give her another chance and take her back. She said that he was old and she didn't find him attractive and called him short and said it was just a mistake. She said that it wasn't about him but rather what she was going through and he was just a symptom. She said that she'd do anything. I said she had to tell me the truth and she refused to budge from her original story. So after hitting a brick wall in couples therapy and her refusing to tell me the truth about what happened, I said I couldn't keep going. I signed a long-term lease and tried focusing on myself with the understanding that we would try therapy again in a few months. We continued to split custody 50-50 and Chrissy made a legit effort to try to help me to settle into my new place. We started going through mediation for a divorce. Why start mediation if we were planning on trying therapy again? What we said out loud was because it takes forever, and if therapy went the same way as the first time, we didn't want to be stuck in limbo longer than we had to be. A couple of months into mediation, the mediator asked us if we had seen a therapist that specializes in infidelity. We said that we had seen a couples therapist but not a specialist. She said that she had some referrals if we were interested. Chrissy said she was and that she'd be willing to go if I would agree to it. I agreed to it as well. With how far we got through mediation, it felt like it was then or never. Going into seeing the specialist, I had given our marriage a 5% shot at surviving the year. But Mr. Throwaway, how could you not be 100% done after knowing that she was still lying about the affair? The plain answer is I wanted to believe that she would show up and tell the whole truth and ask for forgiveness for what she had done and for not being able to come clean the first time. If she had done that, I think I would have seen a path, albeit a long one, back to try to make our family whole. Also, the prospect of missing half of your son's life when they are so young is difficult to face down and just say that's 100% off the table. So we have a joint introductory session with the specialist and then a week later an individual one. It was after that I was given information that Chrissy had still been seeing Benny. I didn't believe it. I looked into it and checked with a few other sources and then was presented with indisputable evidence that she not only had continued to see him, but had brought him around our son multiple times. I haven't mentioned it, but we had an agreement that we would communicate to each other and get sign-off if anyone outside of family was going to be introduced or hang out with him. She had broken this agreement. I was crushed. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't understand it. Why agree to see the specialist if you've been seeing Benny? Why not just file and move forward? It felt like some sociopath shit. I flat out asked her if she had been seeing Benny in an accusatory tone and she said that she had. I asked if she had brought him around our son and she straight lied and said that she saw him when she didn't have our son and after our son had fallen asleep. I asked why she would agree to see the specialist if she had been seeing Benny. Why not just go through with the divorce? She said that she didn't want our son to grow up in a broken home. I lost it. I said some mean shit that I honestly can't remember but was along the lines of her being just like her mother and hung up. Then the fishing began. She texted and asked questions and tried denying without being specific about what she was denying with lines like, "You jumped to an awful lot of conclusions there." She tried gaslighting me into thinking that it wasn't a big deal. "I thought you'd be pumped to not have to go through any more therapy and make me be the one that called it quits. I honestly am appalled that you've taken the stance that you have." I started thinking on why I was so upset. I had said to myself that the odds of therapy working out and her coming clean about the whole thing were low. This was the likely outcome. I wondered why I would agree to go back despite being told that she spent the night with him again after the first time that I caught her. I started taking long walks at night when I didn't have my son to think on the whole thing. I reflected on all this for a while and came to the conclusion that I was upset that I felt like she chose him over me, and that made me feel worthless. I ignored a lot of the shit in an attempt to not feel worthless. After a few more walks I came to the conclusion that that just wasn't true. She begged me to take her back on her terms and I had refused her. She didn't choose him, she was stuck with him. Benny is sending his kid from his last marriage off to college. If he sticks around he'll be collecting Social Security by the time Chrissy and my son is out of the house. He's supposed to trust her, knowing how they met. And she's supposed to trust him knowing that infidelity doesn't bother him. Plus, imagine the anxiety that would wash over you when people ask how they met. She took away any doubt that moving forward with the divorce is the right thing. I'm stuck co-parenting with her, but I get to do that from a place of having seen her and can go into with eyes wide open. If this seems disjointed, it is. I wrote this over several sittings and did it for myself to help with introspection as much as anything, but by the time I was done I figured there wasn't any harm in changing the names and giving a last update. To those that reached out with support, even though I didn't respond, please know it was appreciated. For those that only reached out to ask for updates out of what I assumed to be morbid curiosity, I'd recommend some long walks and a bit of introspection. And to Chrissy, if you see this, please know that you are just like your mother and you're going to end up just like her.